The 70th anniversary of Indonesia and Finland diplomatic relations marks a significant milestone in the bilateral ties between the two countries. Over the 7 decades of diplomatic engagement, Indonesia and Finland have developed multifaceted cooperation across various sectors, including trade, investment, education, culture, and technology. The key aspects of the diplomatic ties between Indonesia and Finland include the aspects of trade, education, environment, and culture. In trade and investment aspect, both countries have been working to enhance bilateral trade and investment cooperation. Indonesia offers opportunities in sectors such as agriculture, manufacturing, and infrastructure, while Finland has expertise in technology, innovation, and renewable energy for collaboration. In education and research aspect, the two nations has cooperation in exchanges of students and researchers. Academic collaboration has contributed to mutual understanding and knowledge sharing. In environmental sustainability aspect, both Indonesia and Finland are committed to addressing environmental challenges, including climate change and biodiversity conservation. Collaborative efforts in sustainable development, renewable energy, and environmental protection have been pursued to achieve common goals. In cultural aspect, there have been cultural exchanges such as art exhibitions, music performances, and film festivals, which have fostered people-to-people connections and promoted mutual appreciation of each other's cultures. Indonesia and Finland have also cooperated closely on regional and global issues within the framework of international organizations such as the United Nations, contributing to peace, security, and development. As the two countries celebrate this significant milestone, Indonesia and Finland reaffirm their commitment to further strengthen bilateral relations and explore new opportunities for cooperation in the years to come. Hello and welcome to Special Dialogue on TVRI World with me, Siska Becker. Indonesia and Finland first established diplomatic relationship back in 1954. And now, 70 years later, in 2024, the relationship is blossoming and there's a myriad of opportunities for both nations. And to talk more about that blossoming relationship, I now have the privilege and honor to have a private conversation with my very special guest, His Excellency Mr. Ville Tavio, Minister of Foreign Trade and Development of Finland, right here at the 10th World Water Forum. Good afternoon, Your Excellency. First of all, thank you so much for making the time out of your busy schedules to converse with us. It's truly appreciated.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, Minister, if I may ask first, is this your first visit to Bali, Indonesia?
Yes, it's my first visit, and
okay.
And I got to enjoy the sun too, and the beautiful beaches with clear water. So I understand. I have no doubts why it's one of the most famous holiday destinations too.
Yes, it is. So welcome to Indonesia. Very exciting to have you here as a representation of your country, which we are celebrating the anniversary soon. We're going to talk about that. But first, I want to know what has been your biggest highlight of the 10th World Water Forum here in Bali?
Oh, we very much enjoyed the public dialogue here about the water issues, and water is one of the social development goals decided in the United Nations, and Finland is very committed to water diplomacy and water management, improving the level of water everywhere in the world.
Okay.
Finland is actually a world leader. By the Environment Index, Finland is #1 in both in water sanitation, drinking water, and in water management, wastewater management.
Right.
So we have a lot to kind of know how to share, I think, with the world. So we're happy to be part of this international dialogue Also, I got the chance to meet the many government representatives here and my colleague ministers of Indonesia, so we got to discuss wide variety of topics, so it's been very interesting.
Okay, that's actually very interesting to learn about Finland's position in waste management, sustainable water solutions.
Yes.
Now, from what you've learned so far about the waste management situation in Indonesia, what do you think Finland can bring to Indonesia to help us to have a better water management concept and framework?
Well, in the water sector, it's mostly about building and investing into different solutions, and of course in the waste management facilities. They are of course big investments, but we are also, Finland is also very popular in the whole circular economy sector. So now that you mentioned waste management in overall is something that Finland is also pretty known for. Only 2% of our waste goes to landfills. So also recycling of bottles, for example, is in Finland the highest level. There is no plastic pollution or plastic that goes to Finland to waters at all, really, and that's because we developed such a big system. We recycle the bottles, but it's also the whole waste management facilities that you need to separate all the waste efficiently.
All right. I would love to know more actually about actual current projects that is going on right now between Indonesia and Finland. But maybe first you can describe to us the objectives and missions of Finland as a country here at the 10th World Water Forum.
Okay. Well, first of all, of course, like I told you, we want to join the discussion and share our views and practices. Second, we want to raise the awareness of how to tackle the water pollution issue, and also encourage other countries to take part of the water management systems, part of their developing policies. Because as a Minister for Development, we do a lot of development projects, but usually to less developed countries. And then, of course, water management is one of those key issues there. But also on the business levels, of course, we are making new connections here with and kind of matching different people together, so that the Finnish companies could also work with their Indonesian counterparts and so on. So this matchmaking is very important in the international business, of course.
All right, that's very encouraging to hear. Now, you've mentioned you've had quite a few bilateral meetings and high-level meetings with ministers in Indonesia. Could you please share with us some of the projects that you might be discussing, or future projects that might happen in Indonesia initiated by the Finnish government?
Well, we discussed many different sectors. Forestry is a big sector in Finland and also in Indonesia. Then we have discussed minerals sectors. Mining is big. Also, Finland is naturally rich on both forest and mines, just like Indonesia. So we share similar businesses in that sense, and we have some companies that are doing these projects right now. There's a copper melting facility being built in Indonesia. The technology is actually from Finland, and we talked about meteorological cooperation. That's one of the areas where Finland is strong. And then, of course, we touched the topic of building a new capital, Nusantara, where you can have many companies to cooperate from Europe and from Finland.
All right, so many follow-ups from your brief explanation over there, and I would love to dive deeper into those. But to close off our conversation on WWF, could you tell us what's your expected outcome from this forum for Indonesia and Finnish relations, and for Finland particularly?
Well, I mean, of course, the forum itself, we made joint declaration of countries to improve the level of water diplomacy and spreading the know-how of good water management technologies and everything we can do, and specifically in UN context. I think it's very important. For Finland and Indonesia, we do have some follow-ups that we discussed here, but I think in general it's more like when you build up your water facilities, for example, then Finnish companies can participate. But we are an official knowledge partner to the Nusantra building, so that's one of the areas that I think we will be focusing on.
All right, Your Excellency, I have so many more questions for you, but we're going to take a short break for a while. Please wait here, bear with me, as we're now going to take a short break, so don't go anywhere. Special Dialogue will be right back. Welcome back to Special Dialogue right here on TVRI World. With me, Siska Becker, and my very special guest, His Excellency Mr. Ville Tavio, Minister of Foreign Trade and Investment of Finland. Your Excellency, as we said before, Indonesia and Finland is going to celebrate 70 years of diplomatic relationship. It started back in 1954, and I think it's safe to say that right now the relationship is going really great. But can I hear your perspective on it?
Oh, absolutely, and I think usually when you hit this kind of landmark years, you usually have a more of exchange, and I know that this is already second ministerial visit to Indonesia this year.
Okay.
So I know that also Indonesian there will be high-level visits from Indonesia to Finland as well. So that's one way to celebrate. So I'm sure that both embassies here in Helsinki and in Jakarta will have those and host those celebrations.
Okay, it's going to be in September, right?
Yeah.
So we are very much looking forward to that. Now, as your capacity as Foreign Trade and Investment Minister, maybe I could ask you, from your perspective and your experience and knowledge, which sector serves strongly the relationship between Indonesia and Finland, and which sectors could use some improvement? What do you think, Your Excellency?
Well, I actually think that the key Finnish, the strong sectors, are ones that probably are the most interesting to also scale up in Indonesia, and those would be forestry, where Indonesia is a wood exporter, just like Finland.
Okay.
And Indonesia is one of the countries that exports wood to European Union. So Finnish experts can help a lot how to deal with this European Union legislation, for example. Okay. Finland is known for having good education, so I think we are looking forward for cooperation in education issues. Also, I would say that in many new technologies, there's probably lots that we can cooperate. I know many companies have already been here for decades, like Nokia, which is the famous cell phone maker, but nowadays they are more focused on the networks. So they built the radio towers, basically, which transfer the network. So it's many people in the world are connected to Nokia all the time, even though they don't know it.
So more for public infrastructure than personal technology. Yeah,
they do the infrastructure for the networks. They do also do Wi-Fi and routers. So that's one good example of Finnish know-how, where you have these very secure networks. But overall, I think we can touch quite many different kind of companies, because as a Minister for Trade you don't discriminate. So any company that is interested of exploring India, Indonesia, I'm of course happy to recommend them doing a market research here.
Oh, okay, so thank you so much for those insights. My next question might be a bit out of your field, but I'm interested to know your opinion about relationship between two countries that usually depend strongly on the people-to-people relationship, which now might be a bit of a challenge for Indonesia and Finland. First, because of the distance between the countries, probably the lack of direct flights as well. But what's your perspective on that? How can we strengthen the people-to-people relationship between Indonesia and Finland?
Perhaps one approach could be to try to do more of student exchanges or maybe teacher exchanges.
Okay.
I was an exchange student in Thailand myself, so it would be quite possible that some of the Finns would come here also. The distance is no problem to that. In tourism, that might be more difficult because the flight is so long. So many people, especially ones with small children, probably prefer to go somewhere closer.
Okay.
But I think we do have possibilities of experts also going to work of course to Finland from here or counterwise. I noticed that we also always in my home city where we built the cruise ships. The Caribbean cruise ships, the biggest cruise ship in the world was just made in my home city. The ship is called Icon of the Seas, and it's by the Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines. And I noticed that many Indonesians also went to work on these cruise lines.
I see.
So before the ship is leaving, they always come to Finland to practice their work and their work in that cruise line.
Right, Your Excellency, the more we talk, the more I'm learning about you and the more interesting you get, I have to be honest. And I was just perusing your personal information just now, and I learned about your very interesting work history. You've worked as a prison guard, a cafe worker, a lot of myriad of jobs you've experienced before you went into politics. And I believe that would give you a very unique perspective on the everyday man, on how they live day-to-day lives and what's important to them. So I'm sure that you are a very observant person as a politician, as a minister. So I'm curious to know, what have you learned during this short visit to Indonesia about Indonesia that interested you the most? About the people, about the Balinese people, the culture maybe?
Well, I really learned that people in Indonesia are hardworking people.
Okay.
So I can see people, especially the ones in the hospitality business, they are very attentive and hardworking. So I think that's something that many countries can learn from, because that hospitality doesn't come for granted, but you need a certain level of discipline and practice also to do all these all the restaurant, hotel business, everything. I think you have many tourists, so you manage that. So that's something that I just come across here, of course, because I only moved through. I only stayed at the hotel and then I came to the conference center. But I learned that Indonesian food is excellent. I didn't have that kind of perception of what's it gonna be.
So you had no idea of Indonesian culinary?
I didn't really have any idea, but I like spicy food, and you use those spices that are a little bit exotic for Finns.
It's quite spicy though. Did you handle it? Okay.
Somewhat. Yesterday I saw what I thought was like a baby carrot, but it was a chili, so I had like 10 minutes of handling that. We don't eat that much chili in Finland, but in Finland we have we eat a lot of meat and fish, but they are not the same as eaten here. But we do eat a lot of salmon, but there's many differences in the kitchens, so it's definitely interesting to get to know the Indonesian cuisine as well.
All right, Mr. Tavio, our conversation on bilateral relationship between Indonesia and Finland has been very enlightening. So I want to take up our conversation more to a multilateral relationship. But first, another short break. Please stay right there, as you do also. Please stay right there, as Special Dialogue will be right back, right here on TVRI World. still watching Special Dialogue with me, Sista Becker, and still with my very special guest, the Foreign Trade Investment Minister, Mr. Ville Tavio. Now, Mr. Minister, as I said before, I would love to broaden our horizon a little bit on the relationship between Indonesia and Finland, pertaining to the relationship of Indonesia to the European Union, because Finland is a part of European Union. Now, in trade relations, Indonesia and the EU have had some tense moments pertaining to the trade in palm oil and most recently in nickel. Now, I just want to get your perspective and opinion. Would these experiences between Indonesia and EU affect the relationship, especially in trade and investment, between Indonesia and Finland?
Well, as a part of EU, Finland actually shares those trade policies with European Union. So when European Union forms a trade policy, each member state is heard, and that policy is everyone is obtained following that policy. I think our perspective is that we are the most open trade-minded country in Europe. We have a very business-minded government. I'm a former entrepreneur actually also, and we have many businessmen in the government positions. And I think the EU regulations and restrictions, they are quite often not meant to cause any market failure, but they are aimed towards to build more sustainable product lines. So when European Union is concerning about some sustainability issue, that usually needs to follow up a large discussion, of course, with the trade partners on how to kind of achieve because I think it is clear that it's common goal between Finland and Indonesia that we want to develop trade, we want to grow trade together, and it's part of Finland's extremely important trade policies at the moment that because of the vulnerabilities we have had globally recently when we had the COVID pandemic and Russia's attack to Ukraine. These situations have caused some failure in the supply chains, and that's why we would like to diversify our trade partners so that we could have more trade partners. Currently, you have to be realistic that many products come from China, and also many products that are Finnish are also manufactured in China, and then they are of course coming to Indonesia and everywhere around the world. But I think maybe the future trend would be trying to do more of bilateral trade also and build those connections. So if we can have that kind of connection to Indonesia, it would benefit us both, because then of course makes companies stronger.
Yes, what you said really is actually what rings true to a lot of people in the world with the geopolitical tensions happening, with the crisis in Gaza, crisis in Ukraine still ongoing as well, and then we have the somewhat trade war between US and China. How do you see all these challenges in navigating relationship with Indonesia?
It's. I think all the countries are affected quite similar ways. We would need a functional World Trade Organization dispute settlement mechanism, which is now still frozen because of disagreements, and those disagreements are between United States and China, and their relationship of course reflects to all countries. Perhaps Indonesia can benefit from this as well, so I would think that if Indonesia plays its cards right, it can maybe grow its trade also because of these problems that United States had with or has had with China. But from the European perspective, we do want a level playing field. I think that's what everyone wants. So when it comes to these more or less critical businesses like electronic vehicles and the batteries, something that Indonesia and Finland are both very involved, because we have the full production chain all the way from mining to building technologies. So we'd of course we'd like them to have a level playing field to trade, and so that I think in the best scenario, all the countries can build factories for new technologies, so everyone can benefit. But now that we are in the place we are, we have, of course, we just have to understand there will be a couple of hiccups on the way, but Indonesia and Finland, none of that I know, so I think the situation is very, very good.
Yes. We'll be strong partners,
I think so.
Whatever the current challenges we face together. Now, Minister Tavio, you mentioned about Finland's sustainability practices, and that is, of course, in line with EU ideals on how to conduct their business and trade. Now, how do you align these ideals in conducting relationship, especially trade relationship and investment in Indonesia, in particular for the upcoming project in Nusantara City, the future capital of Indonesia?
Well, that's a really complicated question, because sustainability as a whole is very important for Finns, and Finland is actually on the second place in the world on the business sustainability chart, Morningstar index, which I think is probably the most respected index. But we do quite well on the other indexes too. So we think our companies are already that sustainable that that's their basically market advantage. I think sustainability can include many things. For example, the product quality and the life cycle. So when you buy a Finnish product, it has a longer life cycle, so it's better quality. But of course, they might not always compete on the price. So once again, you have to consider whether you buy a cheaper product or you buy like a better Finnish product. But you know, our products, we sell business to business products. So we are not expertised actually in consumer products. So this is like a big difference between many countries. But we are expertised on business to business products. Sustainability comes with the Finnish companies. I'm hoping also to Nusantara new capital project. So we are a knowledge partner, and we have already few things moving forward there. And I don't think I need to name any company names, because the negotiations are still on the way.
All right.
But
it's okay, I'll let you go on that one.
Oh yeah, and
we'll be hearing updates though, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we have been speaking about smart traffic controlling the mobility, because city design, waste management, smart city building on many different products. So I think there's always things to learn, and I think the learning really goes the both ways, because when a new mega project is being made and the city usually wants to pilot and test all sort of different technologies, then we can also take use of them later on. So I think we can evolve together like this. But there's many interesting solutions, I think, from Finland. Okay,
very encouraging to hear your perspective on it, and thank you so much for your insights. Now, my last question before I let you go. I understand you're very busy. This is actually your last day in Bali. So once again, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to converse while you're still in Bali. Now, before I let you go, once again, maybe you can tell us your hopes and wishes, your expectations on the growing relationship between Indonesia and Finland, you know, in the eve of the anniversary of our diplomatic relationship that will happen in September. Very much looking forward to the celebration, but as of now, what are your expectations?
I'm looking for companies and the experts to have high level visits to each countries. And to meet their counterparts, to discuss future projects together, and also government to government exchange of knowledge, so that we are, I think we have to take the partnership between Finland and Indonesia to the next level. So Finland is committed to doing so. All
right, we share your hopes and wishes. Thank you so much, Mr. Ville Tavio.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, your insights, and we wish you to have a pleasant time in the last remaining hours of your stay here in Bali. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's the end of our conversation with the Minister of Foreign Trade and Development of Finland, His Excellency Mr. Ville Tavio. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time on the next edition of Special Dialogue with me, Siska Becker, right here on TVRI World.